Hey there, this is Rich Weller. I got to be honest, I remember opening up Microsoft Project for the very first time many years ago. I played around with it for a while and then I thought, I can do all of this in Excel. I put Project away and never touched it again. That was until I became an official title of a project manager. My thoughts at that point in time was, you know what? I should probably learn how to use this tool, Microsoft Project. Well, I'm telling you, after many and many projects and many years, I realized that my Microsoft Project is a powerful tool at helping me manage my work. And to be quite honest, I now work with Microsoft Project the way that most people work with Excel. And how is that? Well, I find various uses for the tool that may be outside of the norm or normal schedule management best practices. And here's one example. For example, I facilitate a number of meetings and training sessions. And if you think about it, a training session or a meeting is nothing more than like a small project. It involves scope, cost, and time. You've got specific information that you need to deliver in a fixed duration. And these training sessions that I deliver, they're anywhere from like, maybe a couple hours to 12 hours in duration. So just like a traditional project, if you do not have a plan, you're likely to get off track and run out of time before that targeted completion time or date. And also like a project, if you have a baseline plan, you can actually compare your current status to the baseline to ensure that you stay on track. So with that being said, let me now share my screen. I want to show you what I'm talking about here. I sincerely believe that once I learn how to use Microsoft Project as an agenda maker, it is the ultimate agenda maker. So now let me share my screen and show you what I'm talking about.
All right, so step number one is to open up Microsoft Project, and we're going to select this blank project right here. And now your next step is to save this file with a meaningful name. And so if we click on File, and then we say save as, and I'm going to browse to put this somewhere on a location that's convenient for me. I'm actually just going to put it here on my desktop, and we'll call this my training agenda. Again, this is no different than saving any other of your Office applications, the same process here. But now the next step in our process is to do what we call activate the project summary task. So in order to do that, if I click on the Gantt chart format, a tab across the top, and then put a little check mark right here by project summary task, voila, you'll notice that the overall outline level 0 here at the top is now brings that file name across, and you can see my training agenda right here. Okay, so the next step in the process that we would want to take here to create the ultimate agenda is to actually navigate away from the what's called the Gantt chart view. We don't need a bar chart or Gantt chart with what we're for an agenda. So what we want to do is we want to navigate to what's called the task sheet view. So if you right click right over here, which is called the view bar. So if you right click right here, and now you can go to the task sheet, and voila, there you go. Now we've got rid of that space for the bar chart, and we're just looking at a almost like a sheet that you would have within Excel. So this is great. That's what we want. A little more simplistic for an agenda. Okay, the next step in the process that we would want to take here is we would want to change a few different options within this file. So in order to do that, if we click on the File tab across the top and then drop all the way down here to the bottom and click on Options. And then the first thing that we would want to change is the date format. So we don't need a format for the day and the month. We want to look at this by time. So if we change it to 1233, now we're going to see what that does for us. It's going to change the way our schedule looks. And then if we click on the schedule option here, there's four things that we want to change here. The first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that your new tasks are always set to auto scheduled. And then because we are working on creating an agenda, when it comes to the durations, or duration, instead of days, we want to set that to hours. And then the next thing that we would want to change is the one that says auto link inserted or move tasks. Make sure that is enabled. And so with that, now we can click on OK. Okay, so now you get to see, like, all of a sudden our agenda is now starting at 8 a.m. Well, that's great. So what we want to do now is, however, is we want to, our meeting actually doesn't start until 8:30 a.m. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change the start time of our project. If we click on the project tab across the top and then click on project information, from right here, this is where we can change. Instead of starting at 8 a.m., which is the default start time within Microsoft Project, we're actually going to start the meeting at 8:30 a.m. It's already on the calendars, already been scheduled. So there, one couple clicks, now you got an 8:30 a.m. start time. All right, moving to the next thing in the next step in our process is we can actually hide this little timeline up here. It's doing nothing more than taking up space. There's a number of different ways you can do that. The one that's easiest to demonstrate is if we click on the view tab across the top, and then uncheck that timeline. Now, again, you have a little bit more space or real estate to work with on your screen. All right, so the next step that we would take would actually equate to the Project Management Institute's schedule management knowledge area. And that would be the process of define activities. So what we would do now is we would input our activities, or in this case, our agenda items. All right, so what I would want to do is input my agenda topics, and I'm going to do that right here. So you can see now all of our agenda topics have been added. So the next step in the process that we would want to take is we would want to link our topics together. And this would equate to PMI's schedule management knowledge area and that process of sequence activities. Now, given that this is a meeting or training session, all tasks must occur sequentially. In other words, we will leverage a finish to start type relationship between all of the tasks. And we'll link these tasks together using this predecessor field. Now, I could go through and there's a rule of thumb where it says every task, or in this case, agenda item, every task in your schedule must have a predecessor except for the very first task. And I could go through here and I could say, hey, the introductions agenda item can't start until after the meeting overview topic is complete. And I could type in a 1 there equating to that. But wait, because all of these are sequential, in other words, happening end to end, there's a better way. There's an easier way. So if we select all of the agenda topics like this, and then click on the task tab across the top, you'll notice there's a little option here. It looks like a chain link fence. And or a chain link. And if I hover over that, notice it says link selected task. So if I click on that, now you'll see that all of the predecessors have been populated. Oh, but wait, now we've got a kind of another problem. You'll see the overall duration for this meeting estimated by Microsoft Project is currently 72 hours. Well, that's not right, because this meeting is on the calendars and it's really only a 2-hour meeting. So what we need to do now is, again, this would equate to PMI's schedule management knowledge area and the process of estimate activity durations. So for each topic or agenda item, you would want to simply input the estimated planned duration that it will take to cover the topic. And by default, if we simply enter a number in here, if I were to enter in 10 and hit enter, it'll actually convert it to 10 hours or input it as 10 hours. That's not what we want. We want it to be 10 minutes. So what we do is we type in 10 and then we hit an M indicating that that's 10 minutes, and you'll see how Microsoft Project handles that. And you'll notice again, start time at 8:30 a.m. This is a 10-minute topic ending at 8:40. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now let me input the rest of my durations here. Okay, I've entered all my durations except for the very last one here because I wanted to demonstrate one other feature. You'll notice that there's a question mark still up here at the top on the summary task. And that question mark is rolling up from down below any of the tasks or activities saying, and it's basically saying, hey, this duration has been estimated by Microsoft Project and not planned by you. And so again, for this agenda topic, we know it's going to take planned by us to take 20 minutes. So if I type in 20 and M, you'll notice that that question mark is now gone here, as well as gone from across the top here. And we can see that in order to cover all these agenda items, it's actually going to take a little over 2 hours, right? You can see right now it's going to start at 8:30, but end at 10:35 a.m. But again, our overall duration for this meeting or this training is actually already on the books or calendars for 2 hours, 2 hour time block. So what we need to do is we need to tweak our schedule a little bit to fit it back in the box. And we really got two options that we could take to do that. One would be to reduce the duration of at least one item, or option two would be to remove an entire item from the meeting, like removing scope. But so what we're going to do is we're actually going to choose option number one, because to be quite honest, I think topic number two, I sincerely believe that can get done in 10 minutes instead of 15. So I make that change, and straight away you'll notice that the dynamic scheduling feature of Microsoft Project is the ultimate agenda maker. It kind of automatically brings us back in the box and dynamically calculates the start and finish time each one of those topics. And you'll notice now our overall duration for our meeting is 2 hours. But wait, hold on a second. You just realized that the coffee and bagels are scheduled to arrive at 9:15. And you can see, according to the schedule right now, that break time is set on the schedule at 9:30, but we need it to be at 9:15. So what we need to do is we need to adjust our schedule. We need to adjust the logic of our schedule, and we can do that simply by, we can see that we would like to have it happen in between topic 2 and 3. So I'm just going to grab a hold of this task and slide it up, and I can now change the logic of our schedule here and connect the logic back together using that auto link feature. And so again, you can see we are 2 hour duration, and starting at 8:30, ending at 10:30, and our break is going to be right at 9:15, just as those coffee and bagels arrive. All right, the next step in the process that we could take is to assign resources to these tasks, and that is as simple as using our resource name field here. So we'll quickly populate those, and there you go. Now you've got a fully dynamic schedule or agenda that you can, continue to play with. But do note, right? It's very important. And what you could do is you could now, print this off and distribute it. Maybe take a screenshot and put it in your invitation or in an email so everybody can get the agenda as a read ahead. But it's very important to actually manage your plan, right? You want to distribute the copies prior to the meeting, but just like a project, you want to make sure your team understands the objective and the timing and their assignments. And you're going to want to leverage your agenda just as you would a project schedule. During this training or during the meeting, watch the time to make sure you're staying on track. And if you get off track, you'll be able to tell just how far you're off track and be able to assess what needs to occur in order to get back on track. Now, I know there's a lot of clicks here, and it may seem overkill for a short meeting, but if you have a longer meeting or a longer training session with a number of topics that need to be covered, I'm sure you'll find this approach to be very beneficial. And as a matter of fact, once you create this file once, setting the options, now you can almost save this as a template, and your all future training sessions or meetings, you've got your ultimate agenda maker just a few clicks away. Hope you found value in this one. We'll see you on the next one.